Hello everyone, this is Frank DiMora with the Last Chronicles of Planet Earth, and if you just found my YouTube channel, I'd like to invite you to go over to my prophecy site, which you'll see here. And once you're there, you'll be able to get to my site. You can scroll down and you'll see my book, The Last Chronicles of Planet Earth, and you'll be able to click this link and you can download the book for free. But right now I want to get into some signs of the last days. And of course the Lord told us in the last days to watch out for many things: false prophets, false Christs, false teachers, those that will mislead you in different directions away from Christ, and also false healers, those that do miracles. Now, anybody who doesn't point to Jesus Christ, obviously, is not with Jesus Christ. And we see many warnings in the Scriptures. As a matter of fact, even Jesus said, if you're not with me, you're against me. So let's take a look at one of the New Age healers who really, when you watch his videos and when you look at the women who are watching him, you'll see that he has become an icon of a different sort, almost like a Messiah, and he's spreading, his notoriety is spreading around the world. Now, I always say, follow the money. And like many of the healers on television who charge, and they also have merchandise that you'll have to buy or you can buy, and this is how they make millions of dollars. And when I say follow the money, you'll see why. I went to his website. First of all, his name is, as you'll see here, from it's Bracco. And on his website that I read, he talks about that he's never accepted a single donation. But when you read the article that I'm going to give you the link for, you'll see that he may not be charging people in the auditorium much money, as you'll see here, because it talks about $8 a ticket for the sessions is less than a price of a South Beach cocktail. But when you leave that area and you go in, as you see here, Bracco's minions were hawking everything from DVDs in his convention area. So when you go in to watch him, and there's a convention area, you'll see that they're selling all kinds of paraphernalia about him, and you can even buy a $190 pair of earrings. As a matter of fact, this article talks about they even have things that are costing, as you see, $7,000. Now, one of the things that I found also on his site was that Bracco does not have independent sessions, and he wants to have all these big conventions or where there's a lot of people coming. Now, of course, if you spend a lot of time moving around and you only have one or two people, you're not going to be making a lot of money. So if you draw them all in at the same time, for example, in these convention areas, then you'll be able to make tons of money. And this is essentially what I believe is happening. You could read it, you could do research on by yourself, but this is what's been going on for the last couple of years, and obviously the man is making money. Now, one of the things that I brought up when I was doing a research on this, one was the comments that was made on this. Then I'm just going to read it for you. It says, he is the most certainly false Christ. Okay, I'm not trying to sound sexist or anything, but have you noticed the vast majority of the audience are women? But then the Apostle Paul said the same of these false apostles. For of this sort are they which creep into houses and laid captive silly women laden with sins, led away with divers lust, ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. And you'll see what this person quoted from 2 Timothy. And so she goes on to say in here that they're gazing at him like Tom Jones. And so what I did is I just went to find out myself, and when you actually watch this video, you'll see what this person was talking about. And again, the Lord did tell us that people were going to be doing miracles and deceiving the people, and there's no question in my mind that this is happening, and most of them are fake. So I'm going to go right to the area here, because why this is going on, notice this in this video and any other video that you watch. This gentleman, and I use that loosely, doesn't say one word. Unlike a lot of these false teachers and these false miracle healers that claim to be following Jesus, this particular one doesn't say a word. He just stares at you. So think about this. Think about your best friend just walking on the stage and just staring at you. And then later he goes in the convention area where there's maybe 2,000 or 3,000 people, and they buy all the products because you stared at them and you felt good and you felt healed. This is what's going on. So let me take you and show you what it looks like. Go right to the
so sacred.
This is what he does. He just stares at you. And then he collects your money. This has got to be one of the best scams I've ever seen in my life. And look at the woman eating this up. It's like, oh, it's so enlightening. They're following somebody other than what they should be following. And that's Jesus Christ. This is what's going on here. Very, very deceptive. So, you could take it for what it's worth, but these are the warnings that Jesus gave us in the last days. He told us these kinds of things were going to happen, and most assuredly they are taking place. Now, there is an article that has to do with, of course, a different prophecy, but it talks about the worst drought in Mexico in 71 years. And when you click this link, you'll be able to get to that site. Now, the reason why I'm giving this to you is for the purpose of Scripture. When you read chapter 5 of my book, you'll see that the Lord told us about the intense heat from the sun and the shrinking of the water, and people starving and famines. And we've been showing you, at least I've been trying to show you, the news over the period of the years that global warming is getting worse. Our planet is heating up, and we're seeing the drought conditions just like Jesus said that we would be seeing. Now today, March 12th, I was watching ABC News, and ABC News was talking about the weather and how we're definitely the weather patterns are changing, and they're breaking temperatures, record temperatures. Now I'm hoping that you'll be able to hear this. If you can't, what I'll do is I'll tell you exactly what it's saying so that you'll understand it.
About 30 degrees above normal at 72 degrees. And so as this heat starts to shift toward the east over the next couple of days, you're going to see New York City getting to 70 degrees by Tuesday. That's 25 degrees above normal. So we're no longer just playing like, oh, look, this is warmer than normal at 5 to 10 degrees. We are 25 to 30 degrees above normal across much of the country. Atlanta gets to 80 degrees by the time we're looking at Wednesday. And this doesn't look like it's going to break in a big way, at least for the next couple of weeks. That's weather nation. Your local forecast is just 30 seconds away. But first, here's the...
So there you go. What we have here is record heat. It is 30 to 40 degrees hotter than it usually is. And this again is part and parcel for the last days birth signs. And we're seeing part of this prophecy come to fruition in the United States. Now when you do a comprehensive look around the world, you'll see that this is a continuing trend in many places around the world. Now here's another one. For example, the warmest spring in years to fuel active severe weather. Let me just click onto this link when you go to my site, you'll be able to read it. Just take a second for it to come up here. There we go. So what we see here is a map of what they're showing us. 2012 spring outlook. Wet and cool. The mountain lingers. You see warm spells across the mid-spring here. Warmer than normal. And dry, severe weather. So what we're seeing are patterns to bring on Luke 21:25, where the Lord said, you watch the roaring of the waves and the seas, or the seas and the waves. And because of these massive changes in our world's atmosphere, in our world's weather, we're seeing storms that are a lot worse than we used to see, and we're seeing them happen more frequent. Now this particular, let me go scroll down here for you so that you can see it for yourself. It says, an active severe weather season is anticipated in the U.S. during the spring 2012 with the most widespread warmth since 2004. So again, indications of Mark 13:8, where the Lord told us that the last days events would be played out like a woman with birth pangs. And obviously, if you go to my book and you read my book, you'll see me outlining the events that have been taking place over the years, proving that this prophecy is also underway as well. Now let me get down to another prophecy that most of you know about, because I've been reporting on about this some time. The next war that's going to take place, you'll see, is the Psalm 83 war. And on the left-hand side, you'll see the Old Testament names. And then on the right side, those nations that are going to come against Israel in the last days. And this war is about ready to take place. Now let me scroll down, and you'll see a lot of the articles below have to deal with just the last 4 days, because in the last 4 days there's been bombings, rockets going into Israel, attacks by the PLO from the Gaza going into Israel, trying to kill Israeli citizens. And so some of these articles you'll be able to click to. I mean, obviously you can click them all, but at your choice, and you'll be able to watch the videos. And this shows you the sirens that have been going off in Israel in the last 4 days, and actually the explosions that have taken place as the sirens are going off. Now, I'm showing you this information because I'm telling you, based on Psalm 83, which hasn't happened yet, we know that those very nations who are in the process of targeting Israel, those nations are actually getting more and more intense, if you will. The attacks have been more intense. And for this past 4 days, as you're going to see, they've been shooting these rockets. Now, let me scroll down here a little bit for you, and you'll see that this is a what they call the Iron Dome, and this is Israel. As these rockets are firing from the Gaza, the Israelis will send off the Iron Dome missiles to knock off some of these missiles that are coming into the Gaza. And you'll see here in this particular article, it says over 90 rockets have been fired from the Gaza Strip and struck major population centers in southern Israel in the last 24 hours. But it's gotten a lot worse. Now here's another article. Please click to it. You'll just be able to click this and you'll get to the link. 80 rockets fired at Israel since Friday. Now last year, I've been warning since not only last year, but I've been warning a lot longer than last year, that you will see continuously the PLO attacking Israel. They're not going to stop. And then you're going to see more rockets and more mortars fired in to Israel, and this is exactly what's taken place. And so the tensions in the Middle East right now between the Palestinians and the Israelis have just went up a notch, and that shows us that not only has the events gone up a notch, but we're one step closer to fulfillment of this Psalm 83 war, because I really believe that one of these attacks is going to end up sparking the major assault against each other that will culminate into the Psalm 83 war. Let me go down even further. There's another article from the Decca file. Now you see that the Palestinian Jihad Islamic escalated its attacks in dozen Israel towns and villages Saturday, firing. Now the number has gone up. You'll see that it's 100 rockets. And this isn't good, because when you see this take place, when you see that the Israelis are being attacked like this, you'll see also that the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, what he just got through saying, and it's something that I've been warning about again for the last couple of years, that Benjamin Netanyahu is not going to tolerate anyone firing these rockets on his people. And the only thing that he can do is take care of the problem. Now, when you see this particular article, it says rocket fire on Israel's south enters its fourth day. And look at this, 200 rockets, 200 plus rockets. And of course, the Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, vowed to strike the rocket squads. And he's going to do what we've been seeing him do over the past years. He's going to continue these assaults, continue the attacks, and all you're going to see is going back and forth. And I'm surprised that the Psalm 83 war hasn't already been fulfilled, but we can see that the path is being set for that. Now, also in Scripture, we're told in Matthew, for example, Matthew 24, you read verses 6 and 7, that the Lord warned about civil unrest, kingdom against kingdom, and we've been seeing a lot of that. But there was a new article that just came out. You'll see it March 12th. It says, 1 year on, civil war looms over Syria. And of course, we know that Bashar al-Assad this past weekend has stepped up his attacks against his own people, and it is definitely brutal. And of course, the civil unrest there is part and parcel for what's been taking place over the last year and a half with this Arab uprising. And Syria is one of the latest to go up in flames there, but it's again fulfillment of the civil unrest that Jesus talked about in the book of Matthew. Now, again, for those of you who are new, I believe that the Syrian problem may develop also into the full-blown war with Israel. Because as you see here, this weekend, the UN chief Ben Ki-moon was in speaking to Bashar al-Assad, the president of Syria, trying to get him to stop killing the people. And of course, as soon as the UN pulled out, you'll be able to see all this when you read this news by going to this link. As soon as the UN pulled out, more killings started. So if the UN decides to move in, Bashar al-Assad said that if that were to happen, he would attack Israel. Now again, if that did happen, you would see what? You would see this. You would see the fulfillment of Psalm 83, because Syria is listed as one of those nations. And what will happen, Israel would have to make that response really, really quick against Syria, and it just could ignite the rest of the Arab nations to come down with Syria to try to wipe out Israel. Now, here's another interesting article. The title says, Iran rattles the saviors, 11,000 missiles ready to launch at Israel and the U.S. targets. And of course, this is a news headline that's showing us, and once more, if you're new, just go, let me get to this, because sometimes it's a little difficult to maneuver on here. But you'll be able to click this link right here, and it'll take you to this article. But Iran, this is very significant, because Iran is really the one that's antagonizing the nations that are listed in the Psalm 83 war. And Iran has been trying to get Israel wiped off the map for a long time, and they're a major influence in the Middle East. And so when you see that Iran is saying that they got 11,000 missiles pointed at Israel, we see that these are the footsteps to Ezekiel chapter 38 and 39, of which Iran will be part of an ally that will be coming with Russia from the north, attacking Israel in all different directions. But we do know that, again, just like Psalm 83 war signs are coming, so is the signs of this war from Ezekiel 38 and 39. Now, of course, Turkey is also listed as one of those nations in the Ezekiel war. And when you get into my book, you'll see each one of the nations. I give you facts and evidence showing you that each one of these nations, or these are the Old Testament names, you'll see that Persia is actually modern-day Iran. But you will see how all of these nations have forged alliances with Russia. And so this new information, here it says Turkey condemns Israel, but not the Gaza terrorists. And Turkey is one of those nations that are coming against Israel in the near future. And this is why I'm pointing out this information. It's not a coincidence that Turkey's saying these things about Israel. Turkey broke off relations with Israel a year and a half ago, which again is by a byproduct of the Zechariah 12:3 prophecy, where it said that in the last days Israel would be alone. Everybody would be coming against Israel in the last days. And so let's move on to another prophecy. Christians' anger over anti-Semitism. It says several Christian groups have expressed opposition to the Christ at the Checkpoint conference that has been taking place in Bethlehem during the past week, accusing it of promoting doctrines that have inspired anti-Semitism. And according to the conference program, the assembly seeks to expose the injustice of occupation and create unawareness of the obstacles of reconciliation and peace, and present the coherent biblical challenge to Christian Zionism and offer an alternate perspective. And in the news over the last couple of years, there have been a lot of organizations turning against Israel. And that goes for a lot of Christian organizations. But again, just like Turkey had moved away from Israel, we see that there's a lot of Christians who are also taking a position against Israel, and this is dangerous. Very, very dangerous, because it's not scriptural. If you're a Christian, there's no way you can come against Israel, because in Genesis chapter 12, in Joel chapter 3, and Zechariah chapter 12 shows us that anybody who curses Israel, comes against Israel, tries to divide Israel, are going to be destroyed. So as a Christian, this isn't a very good posture to be taking. Now again, there is another article when we were talking about storms, and I had this under here because the Bible tells us in the New Testament, and you'll see it in chapter 24 of Matthew, Luke chapter 21, and Mark chapter 13, about the fearful sights, the storms. And here are two more of the articles. Now there's been a massive storm going into Hawaii, and some really weird weather like they've never seen before, including tornado. And we're seeing more news like this shoot up all over the place. And of course you have these fearful sights about these activities for the volcanoes blowing up all over the place, and there's some more information for you there. Now, in line with the prophecy in Daniel chapter 2 and Daniel chapter 7 about the last world empire, which will be a revived Roman Empire, when you read chapter 2, verses 41 through 43, you'll see that that last Roman Empire, which is the today's modern-day Western leg of the old Roman Empire, is the EU, or the European Union. And according to verses 41 through 43, they're not going to hold together. It's going to be like iron and or clay mixture that doesn't hold together. They will not cleave together. And so we're seeing hints of this because Germany wants a new debate on the EU constitution. And so I've been warning to look for a separation of the European unions and possibly breaking down into a smaller group of 10 nations, which would also fulfill part of Daniel in the book of Revelation, chapter 17, where it shows us there will be 10 nations or 10 of these kings that will give all their power over to the Antichrist. And of course, Spain, which is part of the European Union, they're talking and they're showing, when you read or you click onto this link or watch the video, you'll see that they're going to use some of the old currency and as a protest against what's happening in the European Union. See, little by little, this European Union is falling apart, and it's just another sign viewed with all these other signs showing us that all of these things are taking place in the last days. And then, of course, you have the fresh Russian protest underway against the Putin. And just like you got problems in Syria, you had problems in Libya, you had problems in Egypt, you got problems in Yemen, and now Russia has these problems as Putin was just elected, and there's been a lot of problems and protesting going on. And again, it's a product of civil unrest, as Jesus pointed out in Matthew chapter 24. And then you have wars and rumors of war. And of course, please check the articles. You'll see that you've got the Islamist extremists in Ethiopia. And of course, Ethiopia is going to be major because Ethiopia is also mentioned in the Ezekiel chapter 38 war, that they will be uniting with, guess who? Russia. And so all of these things are connected. And then in Matthew 24, Jesus said the last generation would be like Noah's generation. And you also read it that Christ said it would be just like Lot's. And we know that Lot was in Sodom and Gomorrah, and they were filled. Sodom and Gomorrah was filled with activity of the homosexuality. As a matter of fact, the two angels that went in to take Lot out, the men in Sodom and Gomorrah wanted to have sex with the angels, and of course, if you read the story, the angels blinded these people, and so that they couldn't get to them. But the signs of the last days are here. This was one of the major signs that we have reached the last days, because the Lord said it will happen just as in the days of Noah and Lot. So we're already seeing those same characteristics taking place now. And then there's some other news again. Benjamin Netanyahu, Israel will continue to strike anyone. I put this up twice, and this was a mistake. So if you go to my website, you'll end up reading this twice, and I apologize for that. But then again, here's another indication about Pope Benedict warns about the gay marriage. And you'll see Maryland becomes the 8th state to legalize gay marriage. And state after state, we're seeing this happen. And we're also, when you read my book, you'll see that it's not just America. States or nations around the world, one by one, are turning to make homosexuality legal. And so pay attention. Now, one of the things that also the Lord said you'll see signs in the sky and so forth, and of course I've been warning that you're going to hear a lot of news about flying saucers and UFOs, and I really believe that this is going to be a deception that will help show the strong delusion that many people will believe the lie. And what that means is something's going to happen in the last days. The Lord said that I'm going to send a strong delusion. It'll be a lie, or believe a lie. So if, say for example, the rapture takes place, a lot of people disappear, they can always say that the aliens took the people away from the planet. And we don't know exactly what that strong delusion is, but we do know this. A strong delusion is taking place. Now, last year I warned You could read it in my post. Please go and Google. Say Frank DiMora warns. You'll hear more signs, or you'll hear more news about UFOs. And already in 2012, we've gotten more news than 2011 about these flying saucers, or almost more news just in a short period of time already. So things are happening. Many, many signs are taking place. And I'd like to invite you to go and read my book, where all of these documents are put in one place for you. And it will be I think it'll be a blessing, because then you can challenge yourself, you can challenge the Lord. And what I mean by that is, if you don't believe what the Lord said in the Bible, read the actual facts that are taking place, that the Lord said these events were going to take place in these last days. And then make a decision. Then I know this from past experience, that the people who've been reading this and learning about the evidence supporting what Jesus had showed us about these last days, that you will definitely be touched by the Holy Spirit. So please, take advantage of the free book today.